So this is a really important one here. We're going to be talking about selecting the proper niche. Now let's just get this out of the way. Some people say niche. I was raised to say niche. Sort of like envelope, or do you say ketchup or catsup? Yeah, I think you can tell what I say. Anyway, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead. So why is it important to select your niche and maybe to think about the correct niche to land in? Well, first, take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to select a niche immediately, but you do want to think about this. If YouTube is going to find an audience for your channel, they need to know, well, what is your channel about and what kind of audience does it appeal to? Nobody would listen to a radio station that plays bluegrass in one song, and then the next song is some headbanging rock music, and then the next song is some patriotic orchestra. So, patriotic orchestra? Well, just go along with me on that one. See, you think about this. Let's say your channel is about cooking. Well, what does that mean? Are you cooking healthy foods? Are you cooking classic foods from some country that you have spent time in? Is your channel about cooking with a deep fryer and only a deep fryer? Or how about grilling? I love cooking outdoors. Now, I have a pellet smoker, and then I have another smoker, and then I have a couple Weber grills. And so a channel could be about just cooking outdoors, or you could focus on an individual piece of equipment. Now, maybe your entire channel's life isn't just about cooking on a green egg, but boy, if you did that, you could kill it in that niche because people have spent a bunch of money on that equipment and want to know how to use it. I'm the middle of 5 children, and I'm the only boy. And one thing that my mom wanted to make sure was that all of us knew how to use a sewing machine. Well, if I were to suddenly get interested in sewing again, I would want to find a YouTube channel that is targeted at me, at my skill level, with my knowledge, and maybe even with the type of equipment that I'm using. Someone who's teaching how to hand stitch with a thimble on a finger and a needle is not going to attract the people who want to learn how to use the latest Brother sewing machine that also does embroidery and all the fancy things that sewing machines can do today. So think about your niche. Think about your audience. So how do you land on that? Well, what are you passionate about? What is your knowledge base and your experience? Where has that been? If you've been repairing cars, is it all cars, or do you gravitate towards Mustangs or foreign cars? My goodness, I've owned a couple Volkswagen vans in my life. What a great channel dedicating the topic entirely to repairing classic Volkswagen vans. I think I'd watch that. But don't overthink it. Just go ahead and get started. Share something that you're passionate about, and your channel will find its way. It'll evolve over time. Another important thing for us to embrace is the idea that people come to YouTube for a guide, not a guru. The difference between those two, imagine somebody who has done mountain climbing all over the world. They know all the various conditions that are everywhere. This person projects themselves as a guru. But if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you're probably going to want to hire somebody, a Sherpa, who's been up this trail 1,000 times and has brought their guests back successfully every time. The guru might know an awful lot about an awful lot, but the guide can make sure that you get there safely. And that's really something you should challenge yourself to be. In storytelling, there's the example of, the story from Star Wars, where who is the hero of Star Wars? Well, the hero is Luke Skywalker, and we're following him on the hero's journey. And then he, along the way, gets help from several people that guide him, beginning with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi is not going to be beside him for 3 videos, 3 movies. He's going to be, I don't mean to spoil it for you. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the original 3 videos, which are A New Hope, which is episode 4, and then 5 and 6. Those are really the only 3 you need to watch anyway. I'm not spoiling anything for you there. But as Luke goes on that journey, the hero's journey. There are several people along the way who are guides, but those guides typically are not there at the most important moments in his life. So, that's the thing about us. We are there to provide knowledge and encouragement to our audience, but we're not in their kitchen helping them cook. You are perfectly suited to guide the person who was in your shoes even just a year ago. So don't think, gosh, I haven't been doing this all that long, someone's not going to be interested in hearing from me. Yeah, they are. If you present yourself as being somebody who's just getting started at this and want to share what you've learned so that folks coming along after you don't fall into the same potholes that you've discovered. I would encourage you to find some of your competitors on YouTube, people that are in the same niche, and subscribe to them. Leave positive comments. Get to the point where you become part of their tribe and ask questions. Now, we don't want to spam their tribe with, hey, come look at my channel, but you will learn some very important things about how people want to interact with creators, how information is shared within that niche, and you might actually see a little window for yourself. I don't know why, but they didn't bring the camera in close for that particular operation. That would have been very helpful. I should think about that in my videos. In food videos, when people go to the trouble of cooking something and then they or someone around them doesn't taste the food, it feels like they've left it unfinished. Take a bite of the brownie. Tell me how amazing it is. It might not be amazing, that particular batch, but you know that those brownies with your recipe usually come out very well. Be enthusiastic about that. Make me want to take a bite of that brownie too. Think about that as you watch other people's video and how could you do it different and perhaps even better. Who is your channel for? Who is that person? Where are they in their journey? And can you say it to them in a video? As you introduce your channel, can you say, hey, I was in your shoes 2 years ago. I was just buying these tools and trying to figure out which end of the hammer to hold. And since then, I've been able to build 3 of these beautiful sheds. Let me show you what I've learned, right? Express your level of knowledge. Don't exaggerate it. You'll be found out if you do exaggerate, and none of us want to be in those shoes. There's an interesting crossroads that takes place between 3 things on a successful YouTube channel. It's what is the creator passionate about? What are they proficient in? And if YouTube were to become their business, what could be profitable? So yeah, I'll express and tell you, here's my problem. I'm interested in orphaned products. I use tools that were designed back in the 1940s and 50s. I smoke a corncob pipe. I'm weird, I get it. But you know what? There's a few of us out there, and it's been enough to build 2 channels so far that have gone beyond 15,000 subscribers. And it doesn't take a huge audience for a channel to become profitable. If you can get your passion and your proficiency to align together, there is profit if you continue to put out content that is attractive to your target audience. So I did a little bit of research before I filmed this, and I want to share with you some of the highest paying niches on YouTube. The first 3 are really where a lot of the money is at, and then going down from there really is a target towards the more senior audience. Number 1 is senior health and wellness. I've got a friend who is starting his own channel targeted exactly at that topic. And that's of interest to all of us. We all want to live forever. And if we're going to live forever, we want to live healthily. And so what a great topic. And there are plenty of people that want to market to that audience. Number 2 is personal finance and retirement planning. If you're good at that, if you're making it into your 4th quarter with lots of money, we want to know how you did it, and we want to know how can we catch up. That's really interesting to us and very valuable to advertisers. Technology tutoring for seniors. If you know how to do a particular technology, you've mastered using some form of editing software that is an improvement over the native tools on my phone, or even you've learned to master native tools on your phone. Share that with us. We're all interested in learning how to get better at this. And again, There are advertisers that are selling software, that are selling phones, that are selling cameras and lighting and sound equipment who are trying to reach that very audience. Cooking and nostalgic recipes. All of us are looking for ways to cook better food, and you could even tie this into wellness if you like. But, you know, cooking the food that's native to your area or cooking the food that you grew up eating could be interesting to people. My mom grew up in Laredo, Texas, where she learned to cook Mexican food. And to most of us in our family, we think of Mexican food as home cooking. And I've often thought, gosh, I wish there were a good YouTube channel I could steer people to show them how to make the tacos that my mom and dad make, the taquitos that my mom and dad make. I should do that channel. Or maybe one of my sisters should do that. DIY, home improvement, accessible living. People want to age in place. They want to be safe as they walk in and out of their bathroom. What could we do to improve those spaces? And especially if we're going to do it ourselves and save a little bit of money. And you know, the pride and the accomplishment doesn't hurt either. What a great channel that would be. How about gardening and sustainable living? You know, gardening is amazing because it's both a hobby and a food. And so if you're good at that, if you've got a green thumb, share it with us. Video essays and long form commentary. If you're going to talk about the news, the problem with talking about the news is about 2 days from now, no one wants to see that topic anymore. But if you want to replay something that happened in history, you've got a vivid memory or you love to research those things and share the truth about what happened on that day in history that you remember so vividly. If you're a good storyteller, people will watch. If you're not a good storyteller, they probably aren't going to watch. It's sort of like, I'm a corporate trainer. I help people in a number of sales and customer service situations. And if there's a problem and a customer needs to be defused, oftentimes somebody will say, well, what about humor? Can I use humor? Well, if historically people find you funny, then maybe. But if people don't find you funny, please don't use humor when you need to defuse an upset customer. Well, you know, the people that can tell great stories can do quite well on YouTube. In fact, this will come up a little bit further. Number 8 is creative hobbies, woodworking, quilting, crafts, etc. Lots of people are interested in finding new ways of doing things, or finally throwing some pottery, something that they always wished that they had done sooner in their lives. Well, how are seniors best approaching throwing pottery? What's the best thing for us to make? What kind of equipment do we have to have access to? Those are things I'd love to learn from you. Travel and storytelling. If you've been around the world, if you've been to a few places, if you just know your area like the back of your hand, take us to your area. Take us to the off the beaten path places that most visitors and maybe even some of the locals don't even know about, and tell us the story. It can be quite fascinating, and people like that. And then the final one, number 10, is storytelling and history. My wife is taking my favorite daughter-in-law and 3 of our 9 grandchildren up to Hershey, Pennsylvania and Gettysburg area. They're also going to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to Amish country. And they're going to be at Gettysburg, and I wish I could go because somebody when I was young made that battlefield come alive to me. And there's something about that place that I have tremendous reverence for, and I know quite a bit of history. So finding a good storyteller can change the way the next generation understands and embraces the past. If you're good at that, get on it, because the world needs to hear from you. So that's it for this video. Remember that just like a tree, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today. The story of your life is still being written, like the rings that are growing on a tree. Be sure to share your adventures with us here. We are encouraging you, and we know that you can do this. Make it a great day.